Well, welcome everyone. My name is Laura Froyam. I'm the sales director here at CDI, and I'd like to thank you for joining me today for this month's webinar on Laserfiche licensing. I've got a few housekeeping items to note today. So our webinar today will be recorded and available for viewing on our YouTube channel, and a copy of the slides and other resources will be available for download in our client portal. If you have any questions throughout today's presentation, please don't hesitate to type them into the chat throughout, and I will address them in order after the presentation is complete. Additionally, I know your time is valuable, but so is your feedback. So please take a few moments at the end to complete the survey and let us know what you think and what topics you'd like to see in the future. So let's dive in. Today's agenda is going to include an overview of all of the Laserfiche products that are available, different licensing deployment platforms, user licensing types, which will hopefully help you decide what tools or licensing types may be the best fit for your team. So let's dive in. So what I'm showing here is the different platforms. We'll go into this more after we go through the components that are available to the system, but I'm sure I'll reference these platforms multiple times throughout, so I want to ensure that you had a quick overview. Laserfiche supports 5 different platforms: Subscription, Rio, Avante, Team United, and Cloud. Each platform offers different packaging options, allowing you to choose enterprise licensing, where most products and features are bundled in, or a la carte licensing, where you can pick and choose the features you want, allowing you to take advantage of just the tools that you need. As noted on the slide, Team and United systems are not available for new system deployments. So if this is not a platform that your team currently has, it is not available for new purchases. Which brings me, did you know that any component that we go over today can be added to your system at any time, assuming it's available to that specific platform? So if you see something today that you are interested in or want to learn more about, just know that it can be added to your system really at any time. So now let's take a look at the system components. There's a lot, and there's a lot of information. So I wanted to first go through the slide format. So today, my slides are pretty intense and they include a lot of text. The reason I did this is because I want this presentation to be a tool for you to reference in the future. So you can maybe take screenshots throughout or have what you need to be easily referenceable. So here's the slide format. Starting at the top, you'll see system components. You'll either see it say system components or system features. So the difference is, if it's a system component, it's either included in the licensing or available for purchase. If it's a system feature, it's not available for purchase, but it is a feature on that specific platform that's available to you. Now, I did group all of the system components and the system features together so you don't have to try and remember that, and then we'll review it again. From there, I go out and I list and have a short description of what each component does, and then at the bottom you'll find the platform comparison to see if that component is available in the platform you have or a platform you may be interested in. I also want to reiterate that this platform document will be available for download in the client portal after the presentation is over today. So you'll be able to see it in its entirety versus in short little bursts. So we're going to start with the Laserfiche server. At the heart of every Laserfiche system, you have some core components. This would include the Laserfiche server. The Laserfiche server is not physical server hardware. It's just licensing that can be installed on a physical or virtual server. The Laserfiche server centralizes management of all of your information and has it available to you in one section. So if we note here at the bottom, the server is available across every single platform. The number of servers varies depending on the platform you select or are on. The Laserfiche repository is where your documents are stored. The repository centralizes management of all of your document types within the organization. You have the ability to configure users and access rights all throughout the repository. So in some instances down here at the bottom, you'll see some platforms allow multiple repositories or potentially multiple servers. We typically see a multiple server or repository setup configured if a team is trying to create a backup or maybe a failover system or a development environment. Another example would be for using a multiple repository or server system would be for municipalities. If you've got your police department or your sheriff's department on, they would need to have their own repository set up within Laserfiche to maintain CGIS compliance. So a separate repository just ensures that documents are kept apart in the backend from any of the other files in the system. Laserfiche offers multiple interfaces for users to interact with. Whether a user is logging into the Laserfiche client, web access, or mobile, they're accessing the same database of information. The Laserfiche client is installed as a desktop application. It's also known as the thick client or the Windows client, and it looks and feels just like a Windows file folder structure, so it's really easy to understand, and it's great for user adoption. I would say probably a majority of our clients are leveraging this interface today. So the Laserfiche administration console is where admin users can go up to administer the repository. Within this area, users can set up templates, fields, volumes, permissions, access, and much, much more. So to go over the additional interfaces, Laserfiche offers a web client and the mobile app. So the web client is a web browser-based access point to Laserfiche. And again, if you log on through your desktop app or you go to a URL to log into Laserfiche, you're still accessing the exact same information. It's all the same in the backend in the database. The web client is really great for IT managers, as it doesn't require you to update tons of workstations. If you want to update to the latest version of Laserfiche, you just do a single server update where your web licensing is installed, and then that way you don't have to worry about going from desktop to desktop to desktop. The web client also looks and feels a lot like a Windows folder structure, except for the color's blue. But you can do basically everything that you can do in the desktop client, you can do in the web client as well. So Laserfiche Mobile is available to any Laserfiche user with write access or full access to the system. It allows users to access the repository through Android, iOS, Apple, Windows, phones, or tablets, and then users have the ability to access, retrieve, store, complete forms, and sign forms all on the go. So the mobile app is really great if you've got, if you're using Laserfiche in your permitting department. Your inspector can go out, fill out a form while they're on the go, and push it directly into the repository. Here is a chart outlining which interface is included and which isn't on each platform. So as you can see, pretty much across the board, it's included or it's an optional add-on. So subscription full users has the ability to access the Laserfiche client anyway, along with Rio, along with Avante, as long as you have web access installed. And as long as you have web access installed, you would also have access to the mobile app on Avante. Laserfiche Team and United, the web client is included. Or I mean, the Windows desktop client is included. The web client or web access, as well is optional, and the mobile app is not available. So Laserfiche Cloud, which is Laserfiche's full SaaS platform, also has the ability to access any of these three interfaces. So regardless of the platform you choose, you do have the option to go with any interface. So then we'll jump into Laserfiche Workflow. So Workflow is really the glue that holds your system together. Laserfiche's workflow engine is so robust that you have the ability to automate any process in your organization. Really, any process. We see a lot of contract management, new employee onboarding, anything having to do with HR, accounts payable, client or vendor onboarding or management, case management, document review, approvals. Really, the automation options are endless. If you can think it up, or it's something that your team collaborates on, you can build it and automate it within Laserfiche. Laserfiche Rio, Avante, and subscription systems now include workflow out of the box. There's no limitation on the number of workflow servers that you can set up. In Laserfiche Team and Laserfiche United, workflow is an optional add-on. The base license comes with 10 users, and then you have to add additional users to match the amount of full users you have on your system. If you are interested in adding workflow to a team or United system, please reach out to our team and we'll be able to help you get the appropriate pricing and go from there. Laserfiche Forms is a web application that allows you to convert any paper form your organization has and digitize it. For instance, if you're in the financial sector, you typically have a new client questionnaire. Maybe right now you're filling that out on paper, but Laserfiche Forms allows you the ability to create that form and use a web interface to fill it out. Just imagine being able to collect that information, type it in once, and then leverage it to push it to your other external applications like your CRM or maybe some other database, so that you can pre-fill other forms and you're only typing it in once. Another couple good examples of Laserfiche Forms is, again, going back to that permitting example. You've got a citizen who wants to go ahead and request a form or request a permit. They can just submit a Laserfiche form to you, and that could create the flow and process throughout your organization. So did you know that Laserfiche Forms Essentials is available to any system licensed with workflow on 10.2, version 10.2 or higher? So let's take a look at that. So I mentioned Forms Essentials. Laserfiche packages forms in two separate packages. There's Forms Essentials and Forms Professional. So now if your system has workflow right now, and you are on Laserfiche 10.2.1 or higher, you now have access to Forms Essentials as well. So you can still start building out forms and using them internally. Here is just a diagram on kind of what the differences are between the two, and some of the more notable ones here that I'm going to go over is that Forms Professional allows you to do a database lookup. This is something that's really popular. Once you start leveraging forms more heavily, you can leverage forms to look into an external database and pre-populate some of the fields on the form. So if you've got a CRM or you've got your GIS application, whatever it may be, the database lookup capability within Forms Professional is very popular. You also get the payment gateway with Braintree and Authorize.net included with Forms Professional. So if your team is collecting payments for, whatever it may be, whether it's a new license, onboarding a new student, whatever it is, you have the ability to collect payments and integrate with Braintree and Authorize.net as your merchant providers. So Laserfiche Forms Essentials, Laserfiche Forms Portal, Forms Professional, and Laserfiche Forms Portal. So the Forms Portal is what allows you to make any form publicly accessible to users outside of your organization. So this allows for unlimited public forms instance submissions to your team. So there are a few different versions of Forms Portal that are available. There's an enterprise version of Forms Portal, and every instance of Laserfiche Forms will come with subscription or perpetual Forms portals. So you have the ability to, or when you install Forms, you're not installing a whole separate component that you log into to create publicly accessible forms. Really, once you have the functionality added onto your system, it's a simple checkbox in your existing Forms application to make it publicly accessible. So that's something that we hear as a common misconception of the Forms portal is, shouldn't I be getting software? Well, you're getting the functionality, but it's not additional software that you need to maintain and manage and learn. It's just allowing you the ability to make those forms publicly accessible. Laserfiche Audit Trail. So Audit Trail is a web-based program that allows you the ability to review reports of activities across your repository. Audit Trail is a very important tool for maintaining your compliance, as it tracks and has an entire history across all of your documents and more. Audit Trail is licensed per organization, and then depending on the platform you're on, it's either referenced as a user add-on or a system add-on. So Audit Trail, kind of like Forms, comes in a few different packages. There is Starter, Standard, and Advanced. At minimum, with the Starter Audit Trail package, you have the ability to track and maintain an entire history on the happenings of your documents in the repository. If you are looking for more tracking from there, or you're hoping to have your system be DoD 50.15.2 certified for records management, then you would need to consider Advanced Audit Trail. So Advanced Audit Trail does everything that Starter and Standard does, but it also manages and monitors modification access rights. So if your user goes in and changes somebody's access rights to a specific folder, that gets tracked. If your users are logging in with a username and password, any password changes get tracked. So that allows you a complete audit of your entire repository and administrative area, so you know, again, what's happening within your system at all times. Laserfiche Quick Fields. So Quick Fields has many possible components and add-ons. And depending on the platform you're on, it can be licensed in a number of different ways. But as a quick overview, Laserfiche Quick Fields is an automated document capture solution. So Quick Fields allows you to take a stack of paper documents, scan it in, and then it will extract specific metadata information from the document, parse that information into the metadata fields, and then auto-file it in your Laserfiche system. Or potentially kick off a workflow to notify somebody that a new statement has arrived, take action. So Quick Fields allows you to automate the capture of your documents and route them in the repository without you having to click on each document, add in the metadata field, and then select where you want to store it. It streamlines all of that for you. So let's go through some of the Laserfiche Quick Fields tools. Now, again, depending on the platform that you have, some of these tools may be included, some of them may be included in a specific bundle that you have, or you may have purchased them a la carte. So the QuickFields client is the base license for QuickFields. It allows you to automatically capture information from the documents, dynamically create indexing values and folder paths, and the ability to do advanced image processing options. So the QuickFields client by itself is not the most exciting part of QuickFields, but when you put it together with one of the other QuickFields tools, that's where you really see the functionality shine. So QuickFields client is required for every base of these additional features. So Zone OCR is set up so that you can zone in on a specific area of a document and extract that text into the metadata information and then auto-file it away. Real-time lookup allows us to look into another database with an ODBC connection and pull in information pertaining to that document in real time. So we see real-time lookup used in a lot of accounts payable scenarios. So potentially you're scanning in a check and you use Zone OCR to capture the check number. And then we can leverage real-time lookup to pull in any of the other metadata information associated with that template type and populate it for you. So that you don't have to rely on QuickFields extracting it, you can do a real-time lookup and get exactly what you need into the system. Pattern matching is what allows us to use regular expressions to separate and extract data from larger blocks of text. So let's say you have a document that you add into your system called, W4 for new employee John Smith, and you want to just take out W4 and John Smith. You can leverage regular expressions to parse out the information in that document name or in your block of text to get just the values you're looking for. Barcode is a really great tool. We see this used in conjunction with a real-time lookup very frequently as well. So barcodes are just that. You've got a barcode with the lines assigned to a document. Laserfiche can recognize the barcode and then extract or read the barcode, extract the metadata associated with the barcode, and then populate the fields. That in conjunction with the real-time lookup, again, is maybe you scan in documents with a barcode cover page, and then you have all of that information notated in an Excel database, potentially. So the barcode contains a unique value, and then we can go into that Excel document and grab all of the rest of the metadata information, populate it in the document, and file it away. Forms processing is not like the forms that we had already discussed, but what forms processing does with QuickFields is it allows you some advanced capture. So you can have it set up to read optical marks, which is, those little dots on a page. Are you a male or a female, or you don't identify? Whatever it is, you can have it set up to read that bubble on a page. It can also remove lines on your documents once they've been scanned in so that you can get a more clear text read on them. It also gives you the ability to identify a specific type of document. So if you have the same type of form document that you scan in over and over again, forms processing allows you to set up forms identification so that you can recognize the form based on its overall structure. So you can do that without having to leverage barcodes or Zone OCR or some other distinguishing information on the document. A couple more. We've got the Laserfiche annotations and Bates numbering. So this one allows you to add annotations to a document. So if you are bringing in bills and you're scanning them in after they've been approved, you could have a QuickFields session set up so that it automatically applies an approval stamp to those documents once they've been scanned in. The Bates numbering is similar. We see this used with a lot of our law practices where you've got documents that need to be contained in a certain order. You can run it through Quick Fields and apply Bates numbering to the documents in any format. So it can just be sequential 1 through however many pages, or you can add some other type of specific Bates numbering format that you'd like. Then we have the Quick Field scripting kit. This includes a script editor that allows you, allowing extension of the software functionality by writing a script. So if it doesn't do exactly what you want out of the box, we can potentially leverage the scripting kit to get it to conform to your needs. So here, I just want to note a little bit on the platform information here. So Quick Fields, the entire Quick Field set that I just went over is available to every full user in the subscription platform. In Laserfiche Rio, it's available in select popular bundles. So when Rio was deployed, Laserfiche took the most frequently pulled together components and created bundles. And so in Laserfiche Rio, Quick Fields is packaged in bundles. Avante, it's an optional add-in and you can pick and choose what you want along with Team and United. And then with Laserfiche Cloud, it's a per system add-on and it comes with all of the functionality should you opt into Quick Fields on the cloud. So again, Quick Fields is licensed per seat. This is something we typically see installed on a server that multiple people may have access to, so that users across the organization can use the benefits of it without breaking the bank. So then we jump into Quick Fields Agent. Quick Fields Agent is a great tool that allows you to run unattended scanning sessions for processing. This can be set up to run on a schedule or on demand. We see Quick Fields Agent being used in organizations that have tons of Quick Field sessions configured. Since Quick Fields Agent can run sessions unattended, it allows the organization to set up the ability to process the documents after hours. So you've got your users scanning in documents all throughout the day. It goes in and gets dumped into just a folder. And then Quick Fields after hours will go into that folder, grab the documents, and do all of the processing after hours. Because Quick Fields, depending on how elaborate your Quick Field sessions are, can really be a resource hog on the server or whatever system you have it on. So Quick Fields Agent is included with subscription full users as well. So Quick Fields Agent, if you're familiar with it or you've entertained the idea of it, something that I think is really neat is that Laserfiche bundled that into the subscription full user. So all of the Quick Fields licensing tools that we talked about before, as well as Agent, is just included in the base user. All of the other platforms, it is an optional add-on. And it's per system, so you only need to purchase one. The Laserfiche connector. The connector is a wizard-driven tool that provides you an easy way to integrate with other applications without requiring development coding. So I did include a helpful link here. Again, this will be available in the follow-up information that goes out with this presentation. But this goes over the applications that connector's already been tested with, as well as just gives you more details on what it can do. So a connector can allow you to set up a hotkey to copy and paste information from Laserfiche metadata to another application. If you are using a finance software and there's not an integration available out of the box, you could essentially set up a toolbar button, a floating toolbar button in that application that will connect you directly back to maybe that vendor folder in Laserfiche. So connector has a lot of options and configuration tools that you can use. So again, here down in the platforms, it's included with the subscription licensing and cloud, and then it's optional for the other platforms. So Connector is also a system add-on, kind of like Audit Trail. So depending on the platform you're on, it's either reflected as a user add-on, so the quantity of Connector has to match the quantity of the users licensed to your system, or in the case of Team and United, it's a system add-on, so you just add the component onto the system one time. Import Agent is a tool that allows you to automatically pull documents in from your network file folder structure into Laserfiche for filing. Import Agent can also be set up to monitor your emails. So it can capture any incoming and outgoing emails and automatically archive them into Laserfiche. So it's basically just allows you to set up network monitoring and then automatically pulling it into Laserfiche. Import Agent is licensed per installation, and unlimited installations are not available. So it's included again in the full user subscription licensing, and it's optional in Rio, Avante, and Team, and then in the cloud, it's also included. So the Laserfiche SDK, this is essentially a powerful development toolkit that allows you to write custom programs. So if you're an organization that has the infrastructure to build out integrations on your own, as long as you have the SDK toolkit, you can leverage the tools within it to make those make it easier to develop those integrations. The SDK is licensed per system as well, and it's an optional add-on to any platform. Laserfiche Snapshot is a virtual printer driver that allows you to print electronic documents directly into Laserfiche. So instead of printing a file to your physical Canon printer or your network printer, you can print directly into Laserfiche. So you've got that Word document, you're ready to create it ready to push it to an uneditable document type. Instead of printing it out, scanning it in, you just print with Snapshot. Snapshot is included pretty much across the board unless you are on a very old installation of Laserfiche Team or United, at which point way back very many years it was an optional add-on, so it could potentially be functionality your users don't have. Laserfiche Scan Connect is what contains the ISIS drivers for you to connect many scanners to automatically scan into Laserfiche. So as a reminder, if you have a scanner that has a Twain driver, it will automatically connect. If that scanner has ISIS drivers, Laserfiche allows you the ability to add on the Scan Connect license, and then you'll be able to connect that scanner to Laserfiche to scan directly into the system. This is licensed per seat. So each scanner that you want to have connected automatically to Laserfiche would need its own Scan Connect license. Then we jump into Laserfiche WebLink and the public portal. So Laserfiche WebLink and public portal are really one and the same. They are used sometimes as WebLink, sometimes it's used as public portal, but really they are the same component. So this tool, public portal, allows you to make specific areas or certain areas of your repository publicly accessible. So for using a municipality as an example, you've got certain areas of your repository, like your meeting minutes that you want to share with your citizens. You can create a public portal profile that allows you to share just those meeting minutes on your website. So the public portal is optional across the board. And then depending on which platform you go with, there are a few different options to choose from. Yes, and public portal can also be set up both internally facing and externally facing. So if you want it as concurrent read-only licensing for your employees, you can set it up that way, or you can set it up so that it's publicly facing so that your citizens have access. So the public portal also, I mentioned now, the concurrent licensing. So depending on the version of the public portal that you deploy within your organization, it comes in tiered blocks. So you have the ability to have maybe 25 concurrent licenses or 50 concurrent licenses or maybe unlimited concurrent licenses with read-only access into specific areas of your repository. The cloud is a little bit different in that it, instead of having blocks of concurrent licenses, it is configured for views. So each time somebody selects a document within your repository, that's considered a view. It starts and includes 100 free views per month, or 100 views per month is included, and then it goes up from there. It starts at 1,000 views per month and then up from there. Laserfiche Plus is a tool that we don't see used very often anymore, but essentially it allows you to create a portable copy of information stored in your Laserfiche repository for read-only access by anybody. So potentially if you do, how we had seen this used kind of a lot in the past is you've got, you want to do a backup of your system, or you know, somebody is maybe leaving your advisory firm and they want to take their customers with them. You could essentially leverage Laserfiche Plus to create a snapshot of their documents and then provide it to them on a disk. So that's what Plus is. It's an optional add-on to all of the platforms, and it's licensed per installation or per server. Now we're going to look at Laserfiche Records Management. So records management is the software that transforms paper records into digital, accessible organizational assets. So documents leveraging records management within your repository have the ability to be time and or event-based retention schedules. So records management can be licensed really in a number of different ways. It can be part of your server that's selected with Avante or United. Otherwise, within Rio, it's licensed as a user add-on, but it's essentially a per system installation. Subscription includes records management, Rio, Avante, and United. It's optional, and then it's also included in the cloud. But if you are an organization that requires that DoD, Department of Defense certification, not only do you need the records management component, but you also need advanced audit trail. Those two tools combined are what's going to get you that DoD certified license for records management. That is a requirement. Another system component is the Laserfiche email plugin. So this allows you to use any MAP-B compliant email application to distribute documents stored in your Laserfiche repository. So essentially you right click on a document in your repository, it will push it through to your email and send it out through your email. It gets transmitted with the 256-bit encryption, and then you could even add additional passwords for added protection. The email plugin is included pretty much across the board, unless, again, you are on a very old installation of Laserfiche United and Team where it was an add-on option. Laserfiche digital signatures, not to be confused with digital signatures that are available through DocuSign. So a Laserfiche digital signature is, again, a way of identifying and authenticating that a specific user has signed a document. A lot like DocuSign, but Laserfiche digital signatures are for use internally only. So if you've got a lot of correspondence that you require an authenticated signature, you could leverage Laserfiche digital signatures. But only organizations that have full user access to your Laserfiche repository would be able to digitally sign a document. The digital signatures can be done in the Laserfiche client or through web access. So did you know, again, digital signatures, Laserfiche digital signatures can only be used internally. It's included on some platforms, optional on others. All right, so here we're going to switch over from the system components, which again are the components that are available for purchase or are included, to the system features. So these are not available for purchase, but it's either included in the platform or it's not. So the Laserfiche directory server is a newer system feature. The directory server allows you the ability to more easily manage your Laserfiche licensing and get an overview of your entire system at a glance. The Laserfiche directory server is required should you want to add any subscription licensing types to maybe a Rio deployment or a Laserfiche Avante deployment. It is required to add those additional licensing types on. Again, this is just a component that's included or not, so it's not something you can purchase. And it is very newly available to Avante. It's been with Rio for a while, and then it's included in the full users or in the subscription licensing. So Laserfiche Federated Search allows you the ability to search text across multiple tools all at once. This is a separate tool that you would log into to run the search, but it's really great. So you can search Laserfiche, you can search websites, you can search your network, you can set up federated search to search your frequently searched applications. So federated searching is only available in subscription licensing and Rio. Laserfiche discussions. So this is a website where users can propose ideas, collaborate, and learn. So I imagine some of you on here today are familiar with the Laserfiche Answers site. Well, Laserfiche discussions is like your own internal Laserfiche Answers. So it's set up and it looks the same way. So if you have, or maybe are leveraging SharePoint for that type of collaboration and discussion, if you've got a Laserfiche subscription license, Rio, you would have the ability to deploy Laserfiche discussions. The Laserfiche Microsoft Office integration. So this is what allows you the ability to add that toolbar into Microsoft Word, Excel, or PowerPoint, as well as automatically save documents to your Laserfiche repository. So the Microsoft Office integration is available across the board. All right, so that was 36 slides. I think maybe I added a couple more in of just the components and features, and we're just getting started. So now let's dig into some licensing specifics. And again, these slides are very wordy, which I apologize, but again, this I think will be a good tool to reference in the future. So I'm going to start with just going over the user licenses and the different types of users and the different platforms and all of that. So to start, we're going to go with named users versus concurrent users. So a named user means that each user is assigned a specific license for their own use. This ensures that a user never gets locked out of the system. The named user license type is how Rio, Avante, subscription, and cloud platforms are licensed. So if you have a full user on your system, it is a named full user. A concurrent user is not like a named user. Basically, a concurrent user means that you have maybe 5 licenses that you've purchased, but you have 30 different people who log into the system. But if you've only purchased 5 licenses, then only 5 people can be logged into the system at any time. So a concurrent just means that however many licenses you own, they're available in a general pool until they're out. And once that 6th person tries to log in, they're going to get denied access because you've already got the amount of connections maxed on your system. So concurrent licensing is only available on Team and United platforms, which again is retired and not available for new purchases. So let's take a look at just a little chart which outlines all of the features that are included in the full users for each platform. This is just kind of a quick overhead of it, and then we're going to get into it a little bit more in depth here in just a minute. So each platform does require a minimum amount of licenses for each deployment. So subscription requires a minimum of 10 users. Rio is more enterprise licensing. It requires a minimum of 25 users. Avante, Team, and Cloud all require just 1 user. And then you can see here all of the different features that are either included or add-ons to the system. And again, this chart will be available and accessible after this. So let's look at the full users within the subscription licensing model. So the subscription licensing model, those full users have access to basically everything in Laserfiche. They have multiple servers and repositories, workflow, Forms Professional, mobile client, client access across the board, audit trail. I'm not going to go through all of them all. It has all of the great stuff. The only things that are not included in the full user license in the subscription model is the public portal or web link, as well as the Forms portal. Those are add-ons to the subscription licensing. But what I wanted to note here is the licensing for subscription start at 10 users. And then you get tiered discounts based on the amount of users you have in your system. So once you have the minimum of 10, you can add 1 user at a time from there, but you need to start with a minimum of 10. And then again, here are the tiered rollouts where you can see the discounted pricing. Rio is structured similarly where there is tiered pricing discounts. So again, Rio has a lot of features bundled in, a little bit less than the subscription as it doesn't include any of the work or any of the quick fields functionality, but generally everything else is pretty similar. Another notable difference is that Rio licensing includes Forms Essentials versus Forms Professional. But Rio starts with a minimum of 25 users, and then you can see the tiered discounted licensing from there. So now we've got Avante users. So again, we are seeing less functionality included in the users because as we go down in platform, less is bundled in, but still available as an add-on. So all of these systems have basically all of the same functionality available. It's just whether it's bundled in or a system add-on. So Laserfiche use full named users in Avante, you can have just a quantity of 1, and you can add it on from there. So I mentioned earlier when we were discussing the web client and mobile, older deployments of Avante didn't necessarily include the web client or mobile. So your system may not have that, but if you've got a newer system of Avante, it's likely that the web client mobile is all bundled into your user. So then we take a look at the United and Team licensing. Again, this is concurrent licensing. So you need a minimum of 1 user, and your full users just have access to view and make updates to the repository, essentially. In some cases, they can do snapshot. In some cases, they can do email, and then it does include the Laserfiche integration with Microsoft Office. So these are all of the different full user types or user types available on United. So some full users do include snapshot and email, some don't. Team and United also has retrieval user licensing that you could take advantage of, which is also concurrent. So this would allow people to log into the repository with a username and password and have read-only access to it. The email plugin and snapshot used to be separate add-ons to Team and United licensing. So then we take a look at the full user cloud licensing in the cloud. So with the cloud, if you get a full user, this is a full SaaS solution, and so your system, based on the number of users you have, you get 100 gigabytes of storage to be shared across the amount of users you have. So if you've got 5 users, you have 500 gigabytes of data. Cloud licensing also offers different tiered pricing based on the quantity of users that you have. Laserfiche Cloud also has another licensing type. So we've got the full users with process automation. So process automation differs from Laserfiche workflow in that the tools aren't the same, and not every tool is available within the cloud for workflow, but it's similar to workflow where you can automate the filing of your documents and you can push information into fillable Word documents and things like that. So process automation is a different platform essentially for workflow, and it's very robust, but not every single thing is included in the cloud licensing. And if you want more information on that, there are some really great resources available that show you what's included versus what's not. But the cloud licensing also has a user that is for document management only. So if you don't care about any of the automation, you don't care about forms, you don't care about workflow, you just want to store your documents securely within Laserfiche and take advantage of the audit trail, the advanced security that Laserfiche offers, you can just deploy a document management user. So now let's take a look at some of the additional user licensing types. So all of these are also dumped in a chart, which we'll go and take a look at in a few more slides. But so subscription licensing comes with process users. So a process user is for an employee that is in need of user authentication, read-only repository access. So a process user is more for like an IT manager who doesn't need to make changes in the repository, but they do need to help build forms processes. But then they can also have read-only access to the documents. So process users are deployed in tiers as well, with a minimum of 25. We then have participant users and community users. So these users both provide the same type of functionality in the system. So participant users and community users allow you to create authenticated logins where users have the ability to participate in forms processes as well as fill out forms processes, and then have read-only access to the repository. So again, if you've got users who you don't want to make changes in the Laserfiche repository, but they still need to have read-only access, and you'd like them to leverage forms so you can do collaboration on any of your processes, participant users are great for those employees internally. Community users would be, instead of it being an employee, it's for a non-employee or a non-contractor. So if you want to build a process for contract management that allows you to collaborate on items through forms with your vendors, you could leverage the community users licensing type for that. So again, there are minimums required on each of these, and then you get tiered pricing based on the quantity. Participant users requires a minimum of 10, and then community users is a block of 500. So you could have and build out 500 different community user licenses and provide them out. Ooh, let me go back slide. So a process user, I wanted to mention that process users can be added to Rio or Avante systems, but again, they require the Laserfiche directory server and that you be licensed on 10.4 or higher. So process users can be added to Rio and Avante systems. Same with participant and community users. It's a subscription licensing type, but it can be added to Rio or Avante, and participant and community users can also be applied to a cloud system. But again, it is required that you have the Laserfiche directory server. So you can combine your perpetual system, Laserfiche Rio or Laserfiche Avante, with subscription licensing to fulfill whatever your user needs would be. So then we jump into educational users. So this is for accredited educational institutions and provides, again, read-only access to the repository and the ability to participate in forms processes. So education users would be for maybe like higher education, when you want to allow your students the ability to fill out forms. You know, I want to change my class, or I want to schedule an appointment with my advisor. They could fill out a Laserfiche form, which kicks off the process within your network. But then they would also potentially have read-only access to see their client files. So maybe anything that they've paid for, they could go and view their receipts in the repository just for their specific instance. So education users comes in a block of 2,000 and then goes up from there. So Rio licensing, I know that this is something that a few of our users have and have deployed, is the named retrieval users. So I've tossed around retrieval users a couple times, so let me just explain it if I didn't before. But a retrieval user is essentially read-only access into the repository. So with these named retrieval users, you can create a username and password for your team members to log into the repository and get read-only access to the documents within it. With Rio, it starts at a minimum of 200, and this license type is actually going to be retiring and replaced with the participant user licensing type in Q3 of 2019. So if this is something that your team currently has, Laserfiche will continue to support it. You can continue to add users to it, but it will not be available for new purchases. So Laserfiche also offers a licensing type called the Forms Authenticated Participant. So the Forms Authenticated Participant just allows you to create username and password for specific users to interact with forms. So they can submit forms and then they can take action or be as a part of an approval process within the forms application. So this licensing type is also going to be retired in Q3 of 2019 and replaced with the participant user. So again, I want to just kind of reiterate, the named retrieval user allows read-only access into the repository. The forms authenticated user allows authenticated access to participate in forms. And the participant user combines both of these into one license type. And you can add it to your Rio or Avante system. It is also available to purchase in a perpetual license versus a subscription license on Rio and Avante. So if you're interested in maintaining that perpetual licensing type within your organization, that's something that you can do and can take a look at with the participant user type. So here is basically all of what we just went through in a nice little chart. Again, this is something that will be available after today's webinar to take a look at. But essentially it goes through what a full named user is, what a retrieval user is, a process user, what they have, what platform it's available on, the licensing type, whether it's perpetual, subscription, a description, so what they have the ability to do in the system, how they can authenticate, access, and then if I scroll to the next page, oops. If I scroll to the next page, it goes through their privileges. So what they have the ability to do once they're in the system. So a full user has the ability, given they've been granted the appropriate permissions, to move, edit metadata, scan documents, submit forms, all that good stuff. A read-only user has the ability to only view documents. Process users can view documents, but they can also submit forms, complete forms, view reports, and create reports. So that's all available or will be available for you to reference. So then here is a final chart which just outlines the different features that are available on each platform and gives a checkbox on whether it's included out of the box or whether it's a system add-on. And then if it's a system add-on, is it subscription or perpetual? So you have an idea of that. So before I jump into the questions, I just want to give a quick plug to our next month's webinar. So I don't have a topic selected because I wanted it to be a viewer's choice. We went over a lot of information today. So after you leave the session, if you don't stay for the questions, please take a moment to fill out the survey and give me some ideas of what you want to see, because we want these webinars to cater to you and give you the information that you need and that you're looking for. So if you want to learn more about something, type it into the box. So now I'm going to open up the questions section here. And if you have any questions or thoughts, feel free to, again, go ahead and type it into the box. Can only named users use the Laserfiche desktop client? So that's a very dependent question. So it depends on what platform you're on, but named users can use the desktop client, but also if you are on a Rio platform and you have the read-only authenticated users, then those read users can also use the desktop client. Or if you're on a United deployment of Laserfiche and you've got read-only users, they also have the ability to use the desktop client. I will take a look at your specific configuration and I can get back to you more on that. So on Avante, if it was optional when purchased, do you automatically get it now, or is that an upgrade? So I'm not sure if this is referencing web access and mobile or forms specifically. Oh, the web client is what I'm referencing. So you would not automatically get it. It would still be something that you would have to add on to your system. So the new licensing type takes into the purchasing, takes the purchase price of what the web client is and just bundles it in. We have seen more and more that people wanted, you know, all of those licensing interfaces available to them, and so they bundled it together into, you know, a slightly higher priced item, but it's the same price as if you were to just add it on. If I want to add on the Laserfiche SDK to Rio with 25 named users, how will that impact my licensing cost? So the SDK is licensed per system. So it's a one-time purchase price with a small annual maintenance renewal. And that is something that we can provide you more specific costs on from here. But essentially you'll have that, one-time purchase, higher initial buy-in, and then your annual maintenance costs from there. That's correct. The SDK is not impacted by the number of users on a system. I'm an Avante user. I need the cost of adding on import agent. Perfect. We will pull that together and send it out. Don't have any other questions. So if you still have questions, you can definitely reach out. You can call into our main line and talk to your account manager. You can also email sales@CitiesDigital if you're not sure who your account manager is, and we can get you set up with the appropriate team member. But some of the things I wanted to mention, at no additional cost, our experienced account managers can help you identify which type of licensing is right for you based on your needs. So if you've got a particular automation build that you want to pull together, and you need to onboard maybe new departments, and you think that maybe some of these new licensing types might be of benefit, our team can help you identify that. If you're looking for something more and you've learned about some new features that are available to you in Laserfiche that you had no idea about, our team also offers a full service system assessment where we can essentially shadow your team or specific departments and help you identify ways to automate processes within your organization. And then again, as another reminder, all of the resources, including the Laserfiche white papers, licensing guides, and websites that I use to pull together this presentation will be available in the client portal. And if you don't have access to our client portal, please reach out to sales@cdi.support and we'll get you set up. Oh, we got another question. So any word on the robotic app, which is also known as the robotics process automation. So right now, Laserfiche has actually just finished the testing phase in the Laserfiche cloud. So the robotics process automation is not available at all yet. It's still going through testing. But we are slated to see it on roll in the cloud environment a little bit later this year. And then from there, it will be made accessible through the cloud to Avante subscription and Avante systems. So still not quite there, but it's coming and getting closer, which is really exciting. And then again, as a reminder, I appreciate everybody's time here today. If you could take a few minutes to complete the brief survey and let me know what you'd like to see next month. We'll be sure to incorporate the most popular submission and go from there. Thanks so much for your time. And then a couple of those questions on getting some quotes and more specific pricing, we will reach out to you from there. Thank you, everybody.